Okay, guys, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome to today's lecture. This is lecture number 9. In this lecture, we'll be talking about legal issues for entrepreneurial startups. So legal things are very important, and as I already discussed with you, that most of the budding entrepreneur, they just ignore these dimensions. And if they do not understand the legal dimensions, what happens? They are very much focused on the product or the services, and they're just trying to refine the product and services. And if they ignore the legal aspects, then someone else would take away your patent, and probably you might undertake a kind of a contract that is not suitable for you on the long term, and there may be a kind of a company that you would like to register, you did it wrongly, and you are just facing the consequences. When the baby grows big, then you lose a lot of your hard-earned money. So that's why understanding the legal issues is very helpful for entrepreneurial setups. Let's see what we have got. Today's learning objectives. Our learning objective 1 is to discuss the various legal forms of business to determine the best design for a proposed new business. Learning objective 2 is explain the basics of the contract. Learning objective 3 is define the role of these in the legal formation of a new business. Learning objective 4 is list how laws, rules, and regulations benefit new businesses. And learning objective 5 is explain the importance of copyrights, trademarks, and patents. Okay, students. So basically, when you want to establish a business, you want to register a business, you've got like 3 options. Either you can register it as a sole proprietor, or you can register it as a partnership. You have like a general or limited liability partnerships. Or the third option that you have got is to register your business as a corporation. Then you have CES and limited liability company that we'll look in the next slides. Okay, so sole proprietor. Do we understand what is meant by sole? Sole mean one, or we also call it alone. Okay, or single. Yes, we use these words for sole. Yes, so it's the simplest form of a business organization, characterized by the fact that the person who owns the business and the business itself are treated as the same entity. So here we are treating the individual and the business as one and the same thing. Why it is important for us to understand? Because it has many benefits, like easy to form and dissolve. So you can easily start this business, you can easily close this business. What are the disadvantages? Only one owner is allowed. There is a liability for the owners associated with it, and the value of the business is limited. So you cannot sell the business on a very high prices, and the liability is of the individual. So if you're dealing with the people and there's a loan that you have to pay, say you're taking a loan from the bank, so you are the sole responsible to pay back to the bank. So if the business is closed, you'll have to pay it from out of your pocket. So that's why sole property is like, we call it unlimited liability. So the business is closed, but your liability is still, you'll have to pay this. Okay, so this is popular among individuals who are unsure, have a very small business, and have a business with low cost or low risk. So this is one of the most popular kind of a business. So many single person businesses are set up as a sole proprietors. So my question to you is, do you know any who is a sole proprietor? Or do you frequently go to any business that is a sole proprietor. Do you know any business that is a sole proprietor? Please type your answer. No, you don't know. Don't you see any small shops? All the bakalas, when you go to the bakala, yes, they are on the person's name, you know. You see in the name of the person. So there can be one person who gets registered on his name. Okay, so these are like small shops, bakery. So you must have seen many small sole proprietor businesses. Okay, so the second form of business is called partnership. So these are the types of businesses formed between individuals directly. So we know, like, if two or more people, they join hands to establish a business, that is called partnership. Yes, it includes generally unlimited varieties. So we have two options in partnerships. One partnership is called general partnership, and another one is called limited partnership. Okay, so we'll see what is partnership, what is general partnership. So as we discussed, like, partnership is basically formed between two or more people when they join their hands to establish a business. So this formation is also a simple, but that may require a partnership agreement specifically. Okay, so only this is also for a simple form of a business like a sole proprietor, but here we have to add a partnership deed or partnership agreement. So in this we have to decide who is involved in each party's contribution. So we define person X, person Y, and then his role and responsibilities. And person Y's roles and responsibilities. How profit, losses, and draws are to be treated. Okay, draw mean how they will take the money, what percentage they're gonna share with each other. How many partners can buy out the others? How one partner can buy out the other? So do they define, like, imagine he has put 1 million and the partner B has spent like 0.5 million. Now partner A says, like, I will say partner B has spent like 0.5 million. Now partner A says, like, I will stay with you for 5 years, and after 5 years I might buy your, if I'll pay you the equity that you have paid, so I can be the sole partner of this business. So everything has to be written down. How new partners are brought into the partnership, that is also explained in this partnership deed. How disputes are to be settled, that is also written down in this agreement. Draws, as we already discussed, like, it's about distribution of funds from the business. So what is going to be the profit sharing? Like, say there's an X and Y person. So say he will get 70% of the share, the other partner will get 30% of the profit. Okay, so there can be draws, can be of cash disposition in advance of a salary. So one can get cash, the bonuses, or expected year-end distribution. So it varies from, like, contractor to contract. So sometimes they will take as a salaries, which will be monthly, or they might take bonuses at the end of the fiscal year. Apologies. Okay, what are the advantages and disadvantages of partnerships? Advantages: owners report profits or loss on their personal income tax. So it helps them. to report this profit and loss in their personal income tax. What are the advantages? If, for instance, they have a loss and or even the profit, they will report in their income tax. So they'll have to, in case of the loss, they will have to pay less tax, and in case of the profit, whatever the tax they will pay, it will be appearing on their personal income tax. That will make them a good ranking in the taxpayers, list. So it is a great advantage for them. Business expenses have some flow through to personal tax forms, but the restrictions are significant. So again, like what you are spending on the business, that is also being reflected, and you can mention the expenses in your personal expense statement. But there is a certain kind of equipment you cannot purchase it, you cannot file it in your personal tax. But again, it gives you leverage to get tax advantages or tax discounts. What are the disadvantages of partnerships? So the partners are jointly liable for all debts incurred by the partnerships. So imagine one of the partner is not serious, or he is not fulfilling, or he does, some illegal means, the other partner or the business has to suffer. Partners have the responsibility to watch for the best interest of the other partners. So this might be the problem. So imagine there is a bakala or a shop. There are two partners, and they have decided like one partner will sit on the shop from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at night, and another one will come in from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. in the morning. So imagine one of the partner at his time, he doesn't sit on the office for that time, and he doesn't take business seriously. So many customers, they're coming in and they just finding the shop closed, or he misuses the funds, or he misuses the funds for his personal sakes. So ultimately, the business suffers. Okay, then we have a limited liability partnership option. This again, it has to have like at least two individuals to start. So this is also a type of a partnership who are partners in a venture. So basically, limited liability partnership is also a type of a partnership. What is difference? So they must have a general partner. This is in LLC, the individual considered the manager of the firm, who as such has unlimited liability for any debts or judgments against the firm. Okay, so one of the partner is called general partner, the other one is called limited partner. Limited partner is the one who is not responsible for anything. So he probably may pay the funds to the business, so who can work for the firm but cannot actively manage. So limited partner can work, but he cannot manage, or he can just give the funds, but he is not the manager. Who is going to be the manager? General partner. Okay, so general partner is also responsible for all kind of debts or loans against the business. So if you have borrowed some money from the bank, so this bank's money is to be paid by this general partner. Okay, so that's why we call it unlimited liability. What does it mean? That liability or the loan is not going to finish until this general partner pays from his own pocket or from his own bank or assets, whatever he has to dispose of, he has to pay. So he is a crucial person in this limited liability partnership, that if there are two people that makes the partnership, one of them will be General partner, like he will be the manager, he will be so responsible for all the debts, and his debts is not going to be limited. The other partner is limited, so he's not the manager and he's also not the actively involved in management. So what are list requirement? At least one partner must be general partner, who should be hold him as a responsible for taking the business activities. Okay, so corporation is a different mode of business altogether. It's different than the sole proprietor or partnerships. This is the third form of business registration that is called corporation. So we view it as a separate entity. So till now we have been discussing like sole proprietorship. So we view it as a separate entity. So till now we have been discussing like sole proprietorship is like a single person. Partnership is like two people, they shake, or two or more than two people, they join their hands and make a business. Here, when we are talking about corporation, corporation is in which the business in itself is registered. So it is indifferent of the individuals. So we are not talking about individuals. The business itself is registered. So if a corporation suffers substantial losses, the founders will lose only their investment in the business. So their investment is limited. Okay, so sorry, their loan is limited. In previous slides, you must have seen that there are unlimited liability. Here, it is limited liability. So in corporation, the liability is limited. In both sole and partnership, the liability is unlimited. So what are the common forms of business? You can start with S corporation, C corporation, or LLD, limited liability corporations. What is S corporation? S corporation is basically an organization form that treats the firm as an entity separate from the individual. So it's a basic kind of a business level, and it allows the owners to treat the income as they would if the firm were a sole proprietor or a partnership. So it's like the same kind of business in which you can have a sole proprietor or partnerships, and but your business will be treated as a separate. It's not a part of your personal. You do not mention it in your personal statement. So it has limitation in the number of the types of the shareholders. So S corporation will have limited number of shareholders. Like shareholders are basically the individuals that buy the shares of the business. Okay, so they are, in other words, the owners of the business. So anyway, the number of the shareholders will buy, that will make it that it make them shareholders. So they are basically the owners of the business. But in this S corporation, we can float a limited number of the shares. So we cannot have shares like big companies like Amazon, like Aramco. So we cannot have a large number of shares because of the size of the business and the type of the business that we register. What are the advantages of S corporation? There are limited liability for owners, so owners don't have to pay. Here we have like owner who registered the business as a sole proprietor, and here there's a business that is registered as an entity. So there's a difference. So owner's liability is not there. Second one is potential to consolidate financial statements of business and personal income statements, income for the tax benefit of the owners. So you can mention this, you can develop a consolidated finance statements and in the business and personal income statements. So you can get these benefits while filing the income tax. So it's a relatively easy formation when we are compared to C corporation. So S corporation is easy, and then legitimacy in the market as more established form of a business as compared to we talk about a sole proprietor. Its legitimacy is not that high, so we are always scared of like individual can default and they might not be able to take big contracts and things like that. About this C corporation, the legitimacy is more than that. Disadvantages of S corporation is that formation process is cumbersome and expensive because you are finding a proper entity. Second one is limited number of shareholders, which is set as like maximum you can float like 100 shareholders. Significant limitation for a company that wishes to go public. So when you wish to go like public, then you might face problems because you have just at the most you can get 100 shareholders. C corporation is an organizational form that treats the firm as a unique entity responsible for its own taxes. So no limitation to the shareholders' participation. So this is different. And as we had 100 shareholders, here we don't have no limitation. Owners are protected beyond their equity investment. So in this, owners are protected, so their equity investment is secured, and they will not be sued for the personal loans or the loans against the business. What are the requirements for S and C corporation? So first you have to have a corporate name. So corporate name has to be a unique, identical name that the business already is not having this name. So location and corporation of the corporation headquarters must be mentioned. General rule nature of the business is to be identified. Name, addresses, and titles of the founders is to be mentioned. Time horizon for the firm's existence, like when did it started, and then authorized stocks and capital, the shares that they invest or the capital they invest into the business is mentioned, and then bylaws of the organization. These are the legal bylaws, contract they establish as per the rules of the government. Okay, so limited liability corporation, this is the third form of it. It's relatively a new concept, has limited liability features. It allows more investors and other corporations to hold stock. So may I have a few as one member, but it allows profits to be handled flexibly and owners to flow the profits through to their personal returns to avoid double taxation. So this allows them to file their double taxation. So this allows them to file the tax that they're paying at a company to offset the tax that they are personally paying the tax. So this allows them to not get double taxpayer, has a low cost of formation, and they have limited by the same states. So in America, every state has different LLCs. So some have different financial requirements, establishment, business, and rules and regulations. So it is like limited to the state in which you are going to get open this limited liability corporation. Okay, now let's see what is going to be the contract. It's basically contract is an agreement between two parties to perform certain activities for some consideration. for like any activity that they want or any products and services they provide. That can be considered as a consideration. Do not have to be, does not have to be written, but writing is advisable. So contract can be verbal as well, but the most advisable is that you should have a written contract that is a legal form, and then you can get compensations if the other party does not fulfill its obligations. Okay, what are the requirements for the contract, that who the parties are in the contract? So we mentioned the party A and B, we mentioned their names. What else we do? What each party agrees to do, and what are the considerations, like what is the requirement, what would they do? Would they provide the product, would they provide the services? So when the transaction is to be taken, when they do have to take this transaction, if they have to submit a consignment, if they have to submit the products, or they have to do some services, you want to get an operation at some hospital, so that's consideration is going to be in the operation, yes. So time of payment, how much money you will pay, and when you're going to pay, when the money is going to be accrual, and timing of activities and the length of the contract. What are the warranties? How to contract can be terminated? What are the terms, like when you see there's a breach of some term, then you consider the contract is terminated. Whether the contract is transferable, like if there's one responsibility on party, and if they cannot do that, they can arrange someone else to offer us the services at their behalf, and they pay the services. What states laws apply if the firms are in different states? So that is crucial. Say one business is registered in Arizona, another business is registered in, say, New York. So different states, they have different laws. So you have to understand the contracts and how would we interpret this contract from Arizona or from New York. Then the lease, what is real lease and what is the role of a leases, and what are the considerations? So what exactly is being leased? We know that mostly there's a land that we buy it on lease, or sometimes the machinery, the people buy it, or the businesses buy it on lease. So we have to mention in the lease what is being leased. Can the lease be renewed? So if you get a land for, say, 99 years, what will happen after 99 years? Are you going to extend the lease for, say, another 100 years? Who is responsible for the improvements, like the maintenance of these things? Like if we have a machine, who will be taking about the maintenance of it, how we will improve and maintain, and the condition of the land, who carries liability insurance, and at what level. So if there is a machinery, as said, there was a fire, who will do the insurance for the machinery, things like that. Can the landlord enter your place of the business? That is crucial. So imagine you have taken a land for, say, 95 years or 30 years of lease, and you see that most of the time the landlord is coming over there and disturbing your business. Do you allow him to come and can use a portion of the land, or so everything has to be mentioned in the contract. What are the procedures for addressing and resolving problems? So if any problems comes, how would they solve it? That should also be part of the lease contract. Leases are multidimensional and should be carefully crafted before signing. You should prevent problems by investigating legal issues and employing experts when needed. So when somebody is going into some lease agreement, you should involve some legal experts in this process. Okay, so how laws, rules, and regulations benefit new businesses, especially in today's world. So we see lots of incentives are being given to the entrepreneurial setups around the world. So new business, small businesses deal with fewer regulations than established larger businesses. Some regulations apply regardless of the size. So one has to have an employer identification number, and you should also have a payroll requirements. Specific cities may have unique regulations, and most locations have local information resources. So you must register your business to local information resources as well. Then we have some food regulations, especially when we are dealing with the food. COVID-19 pandemic significantly increased public awareness regarding food regulation and the safety of the food manufacturing and supply. How does this impact your business? Food regulation, because we are everything that we eat is food regulation, because we are everything that we eat is has to be preserved, and there are certain rules and regulations that needs to be followed. So food regulations, especially in the kingdom, they are very high, and the basic purpose is to safeguard the health of the individual. So you will see that people will not be using their hands without gloves, and in the kingdom they must have a certificate posted over here. They must have a health certificate, their account details and everything. And then I was told that their nails should be clean, and they must put on the gloves, and they also put on the mask. So this is the must requirement. And the place where you put the food must be nice and hygienic. Okay, so there are lots of regulations that have come after the corona that we have witnessed, which were not there earlier on. Okay, so copyright. Copyrights are basically legal means to protect intellectual property. It grants ownership on creative materials generators such as like books, magazines, advertising copy, music, artwork, virtually any other creative product, whether published or unpublished. So copyrighted to protect the creativity of the individuals. So if there's a music, if you get it like copyrighted, so no one else can use the music that you have originated. So you'll have the sole copyrighted, and they will have to pay you to play the music. So copyrights is very important for young entrepreneurs to understand, because if they have something unique, which is an intellectual property, they must get registered the copyright. Otherwise, there are good chances that other businesses might steal it. Trademark is basically a claim of an intellectual property that is associated with a specific business. So maybe a name of a firm, a symbol representing the firm, or the name of the product. Like trademark Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola. They have a Coke as a trademark. Okay, so nobody can use the Coca-Cola. Or sometimes like Nike have registered this is the sign of this used by Nike. They have also trademarked Nike, the name. So no other businesses can use these trademarks. Okay. Then Caterpillar, they have got trademark of the cat. So no other businesses are allowed to use Caterpillar or cat trademark. Similarly, I think KFC, there's a picture of the sandler, so you cannot copy the KFC's name and the picture, so that the other people can get to know that this is the same business and they might be misusing your trademarks. Patents. These are the claims of intellectual property that covers a specific innovation. So they can be like patents valid for 20 years from the point that it is filed, currently granted on a first to file basis. So they can be expensive to obtain and maintain, typically like utility, design, and plant. So it can be a potent entry barrier or for a business. So you can create, you can register a patent, and you can stop other businesses to copy your businesses for like at least 20 years. So only recognized in the countries where it is filed. So that's the issue, that your patent will be registered in the country, so they will protect you in those countries. But there can be other countries where you can just they can start the business. Like if I think about Uber, so the idea was copied by Kareem, and later on Uber had to buy Kareem for I think 6.5 million or more than that dollars. Okay, so because the Uber was not registered in UAE or Pakistan. Okay, what is insurance? So what is its role? Insurance is one of the way to limit liability concerns. So basic types can be property insurance that covers the building, fixtures, and inventory. So key concerns are whether the insurance covers a replacement cost or any current value. Okay, so we see mostly we have cars that are insured. Buildings can be insured in case there is a fire, or some earthquake can happen. So it can cover fire, windstorms, hail, smoke is the standard. So special policies cover floods and earthquakes as well. Now, this is crucial, like the businesses must have a good board of directors. So board of advisors and boards of directors help the new business persons foresee potential legal liabilities. So if you see the Shark Tank, you'll see that sometimes there are entrepreneurs, they come, they have a very sound business idea, and they just does not need much equity, but they are more interested to get on board those senior sharks who are well established into the businesses. They have expertise, knowledge, they are the gurus. So they want them to be in their board of directors. So one of their interests is in this. So new businesses should have at least one of these entities that will advise the founder. So you should have someone senior. They have an expertise of the business. So you can make them a board member as an advisor. So corporation must have a board of directors, and the board of director meetings, and they will have a better understanding about the affairs. So in new corporations, the shareholders and the board of directors are often the same individual, because it can be a family-owned business, it can be a small business. So all these 3-5 people, they can be part of the board of directors, and they can also be the shareholders. But in big companies, you will not see this like this. Okay, so but these are the reviews questions for today, and I hope you would be able to understand these. First question is, why is a legal system so critical to a new business? And we know that if you not register your business, and if you will not understand the legal systems, then you might face many problems. You might go into a contract that you cannot fulfill later on, or that can go against you. Do you think legal protections are more or less important to a new business than to an established business? Okay, and what are the impacts on a business that choose to form as a sole proprietor? So you understand these things we have already discussed in our previous slides. This is the reference book that we are following, Bamford and Bruton 2022, Entrepreneurship, the Art, Science, and Process for Success. That's it. We are done for today's lecture. So if you have any questions, you are welcome to ask me.